Coming up on this week's episode of the Mindscaped podcast.
And when I came back home, I noticed my son's bicycle was gone. The TV was gone. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So I approached him again. I'm like, what's happening? Like, did you start your nonsense again? And then he was like, yes. So I'm like, you know what? I can't have this. Like, what's going on? We tried everything. We went for Hajj. We came back.
If he knew he's kept coming back to you and you're taking him in, and then you're also the source of finance, would you not say then in a way you enabled him?
Yeah, you're right. When you say, you enable them. But walking away is easy.
Right.
It's very easy to just walk away from a marriage. The thing is, when you leave or when you decide that this is it, this is the end of it, and you decide that it's time to walk away, you got to there's so many factors that you need to take into consideration. Your emotional well-being, the financial well-being, the support system. And I think a lot of the times people stay in a marriage because they don't have that support system to help them to cope. There is nobody.
Welcome to the Mindscaped podcast. Politics, environment, history, mental health, business, religion, people, and philosophy. Escape to the real world.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of the Mindscape podcast with me, Nazir and Shaheen. Today, alhamdulillah, in studio, we have a very interesting topic, an important topic. As we know with Mindscape podcast, we always are ready to ensure that we get the most out of all of our problems and issues that we face in the community. But right now, one of those major issues is, as we know, that's facing communities across South Africa and globally is the issue of substance abuse. And today, our guest is Shabana, who's going to be sharing with us some of her stories, a personal touch on this matter, because we know the best way to deal with issues if we really deal with them face on. And so we welcome Shabana to our studios here in Durban, and welcome to Mindscape podcast.
Welcome.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for inviting me to feature on your podcast today. So my story is a really long one. And if I have to sit here and tell you guys everything that happened from the time I was little, I think we're going to need a whole week. Firstly, before I start, I just want to say that I didn't come on here to play victim or to speak about, to get empathy or anything of that sort. The reason I decided to speak about my story today is simply to help women that are in the same situation. There are so many women that have been going through what I went through, and I just decided that it was time to share my story. So I was married for 19 years. I knew my ex-husband for 4 years before we got married. So that's like 24 years, which is half my lifetime. Basically, when we got married, obviously I was in love.
So it was a love marriage, not an arranged marriage?
No, it was a love marriage. And, when you're young and you think that love is the end-all, be-all. Mm-hmm. So we got married and we were doing okay, for the most part of it. We ended up moving to Cape Town when my son was just 8 months old, my eldest son, and we had a perfectly good life. My ex-husband had a good job. We had our own house, cars, and a few years into our marriage, that's when the problem started. Mm-hmm. So basically, I was going through my bank accounts, and I noticed that money was missing from my accounts, things were missing from home. A friend of his living in Cape Town came to me and said that my ex-husband has been borrowing money from him. And I found that really strange because he had a good job, we were living a good life, there was no need for him to borrow money. So I think as a woman, your intuition kicks in. So I decided to go through my cupboards, and I opened my cupboards where my jewelry was kept. And this was my jewelry that I received when I got married, only to realize that everything was gone. And then that's when it hit me that there's something wrong. I mean, I'm talking about every piece of jewelry that I owned was gone. So I waited for him to come home that evening, and I was like, do you have something to tell me? Because this is what I've realized. I've also noticed that there's money going off our accounts. And at first he denied it. And then he broke down and he told me, listen, I've got a problem. I have a cocaine addiction, and unfortunately I can't stop. And, a part of me knew that something was going on because he did suffer from hay fever, right? But he used to come home almost every night, and he used to always, his nose used to always be leaking, and he'd always blow his nose, and he ended up going to the doctor, and he kept on telling me, he has to go for an op because his sinuses are really bad. But I had no idea that it could be, that it could have been like a cocaine addiction or whatever. But so he broke down and he told me, this is a problem and he needs to stop. And at that point, it didn't come up that he needed to go for rehab. He just promised me that it's not that bad. He will get the situation under control. So we tried to work it out together. We ended up going for Hajj, not soon, like maybe a few months after. And to be honest, I wasn't ready to go for Hajj because I just felt like, my kids were still very little. I had 2 kids at that time. My daughter was only 2, and I wasn't ready to go for Hajj. But he said that we should go because it will give him a chance to sober up. And so we went for Hajj, and I promised
So prior
him,
that there was no rehab?
No, there was no rehab. He just promised that he was going to stop, but he didn't. He used to still, do.
How long after that was Hajj?
So when I found out, it must have been about a year after, I think, that we went for Hajj.
So in the incident, then I would ask, what did he do? What did you guys do as a couple?
I used to try and manage the finances. So I used to go through the bank accounts. I didn't give him access to that. So I knew that he wasn't taking money off that. But he still found a way to do it. So he was like on and off doing it.
So what about rehab or some other form of help?
He didn't want to go to rehab at that point. It did come up, and he told me that the situation was under control and he didn't need rehab. So we did end up going for Hajj. I left my kids by my mom. She was living in Peter Maritzburg. She's still in PMB at that time. And we ended up going for Hajj. And Hajj was supposed to be, like when you hear people speak about Hajj, it's like such an amazing experience. And people talk about it and they want to go back. And for me, unfortunately, it wasn't the best experience. And I really wish that I could go back and do my Hajj all over again.
Was it because he was doing drugs at that time as well?
No, so I think it was because now when you're in Makkah and Medina, so you don't have access to anything.
Withdrawals.
So you couldn't carry, I'm sure he didn't think of carrying
so there
stuff.
was no, because he used to also smoke weed almost every single day.
Right.
So now there was no access to weed or anything of that sort. So I think he started becoming quite agitated. So we would fight almost every day. We get into these arguments.
In Saudi?
Yeah, in Saudi. And like for me, Hajj was about this pilgrimage. And I wanted to go to the Haram as much as I could because I didn't know if I'm ever going to get the chance to visit again. So I would want to go and pray all of the time. And he would get agitated, and we used to argue, and he used to make me cry. And it was just such a horrible experience for me because now I'm seeing him in a different light. So, he wasn't the same person that I was married to. I'm like looking at this man, and he was like constantly on edge.
So Hajj revealed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah.
And that was actually the first time ever, and I haven't said this to anyone, but this was the first time where actually divorce crossed my mind. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, is this what you're putting yourself through? But then I saw another side to him. So what happened was, when you start your Hajj, so you go to Azizia, and then from Azizia you go to Mina, and then Mina to Arafah and Muzdalifah. So on the way back, I became really ill. So I got a virus. I couldn't even perform my tawaf ziyarah. I just started burning up. I had like this intense fever from the inside. And I was burning up. And I told him, I think there's something wrong. And he told me, no, what do you mean now? I'm like, no, I'm like sick. I'm telling you I'm sick. He says, no, you can't be sick. I'm like, I'm sick.
Not the time to be sick.
I need to go to the hospital. So he was like agitated, but he took me to the hospital and they put me in quarantine because my fever was so high. The doctor was actually in shock. He thought I had swine flu. So they put me in quarantine. They did a test. It turned out I had a very severe viral infection. So I couldn't continue the rest of my days in Mina. I had to stay alone in Azizia, and he had to stay with me. So he used to go to Mina, and then he'd come to Azizia. I was the only one in Azizia at that time in the place that we were staying. And then I don't know whether he felt really bad or very responsible, but I saw a different side to him. So he started taking care of me. He even bought this little stove, and he made me soup on the rooftop in Azizia, and he kept on apologizing and, things like that. So obviously now I felt sorry for him. He was becoming remorseful, and he said, I'm so sorry for everything I put you through. And we went back home. I think I only got better the day we were leaving. Got back home, and about 3 weeks later, I found out I'm pregnant.
So this is your first child?
No, the third.
This is the third child, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, with the third child. And then things, when you come back from Hajj, things were good. I think for the first 40 days or whatever, he was a totally changed person, stopped even listening to music. He stopped the weed. He was still smoking. He was like a chronic smoker, but he stopped the weed. And I just saw a different side to him. And things were really good for a while. And he even went back to work. He had a really good job in Cape Town, and he did leave, when he told me that he had this drug issue and whatever. But they called him back, and he ended up going back to work, and things were back to normal again. It was short-lived.
How short?
I would say when I was about 5 months, 6 months into my pregnancy, he started again.
And how you knew that he started was because of the signs, or did you know he was still doing, but just not full on?
No, so it was the signs again. So he didn't, his sinuses weren't acting up at all.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden,
Sinuses, yeah.
the sinuses started.
Okay.
The nose leaks, and, he'd be on edge all of the time, or he was just different. And I think I just knew.
So how old was he at this time?
He was 35. And anyway, so the rest of the pregnancy went by in a blur. And I remember I gave birth. It was in 2010. It was September. And I literally wasn't even in hospital for a long period. I just went into hospital. It must have been about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was back home by 1 o'clock the afternoon the next day. So I was in and out of hospital. And when I came back home, I noticed my son's bicycle was gone. The TV was gone.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So I approached him again. I'm like, what's happening? Did you start your nonsense again? And then he was like, yes. So I'm like, you know what? I can't have this. What's going on? We tried everything. We went for Hajj. We came back.
What's tried everything?
I stood by you. We tried with the finances, gave him no access to the finances. At the end of the day, there's only so much you can do. I couldn't be a mother to him or monitor his every move.
Yeah.
So I said,
think a lot of couples that go through this, feel at some point they become the mother.
They have to, yeah.
Because a lot of them, I'm diverting.
no, it's fine.
Husbands' families or the wife's families don't want nothing to do with it. So you become the mother, the son, the brother, the father, everything.
Yeah, no, exactly. I had to, because I'm going to come to that part now where nobody wanted to do anything about it.
So before you go on, prior to you getting married, did you know?
So I knew that he was on something. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't, because I think when you're young, a lot of the boys experience with certain things. So I knew about the weed, but I didn't know the extent of it. I didn't know that he had a cocaine addiction.
If you did, would it have changed anything?
I think it definitely, it would have.
So you see a difference between coke and weed?
To be honest, I think they're all the same.
Now, not then.
No. Back then, I just thought that weed was just something that people did.
A good green herb.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with weed, right? That's the problem with weed.
What's the problem?
Is that people assume that it's just a harmless drug.
Isn't it?
Firstly, is it a drug in your definition?
Medicine.
It's medicine.
In today's terminology, it's medicine.
Is it only medicine?
It can be used for anything. Like, I mean, we had this discussion.
So you're going to say anything can be abused, right?
anything, including water.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. That's not the point. There's a point. Does it intoxicate you
Yes,
at the first puff?
from what I've read.
At the first puff, from what you read, no experience.
No experience.
No. So that's the question.
I
I
actually,
have.
well, to be honest, about 10, 12 years ago, my doctor told me I should take it. This was before it became legal because of my asthma.
Right.
Yeah.
But take it because.
But not
it's-
take it and smoke it, as in inhale it or drink it.
My grand suffered with asthma as well, and
Yeah.
believe it or not,
Same?
her doctor told her the same
Yeah.
thing.
Smoking it
about,
or-
no,
Drinking it or
yeah, I think
inhaling
you,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's purposes, but smoking it.
100%.
So the question is that to anyone that's now a weed smoker, consumer, for recreation, right? I'm not saying medicine. Then the potential that could become the gateway. That's the question I have. And this is evidence of it. You agree with it or disagree?
I agree.
It can be a
But
gateway.
that can be with anything. Even cough syrup.
That's
So
true.
you're saying coffee is going to lead you to alcohol,
I know guys when we were in school that were addicted to cough syrup.
which led them to become alcoholics.
No, let them become drug addicts.
Oh, okay.
It was the high.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't blame the substance, blame the person.
100%. Anything and everything can be abused.
Okay. Okay.
No, but
Everything
that's
in
true.
moderation. And I'm not saying weed. Please.
Yeah, no, but that's true because you get different types of people, and if you have an addictive personality,
Yes,
even
I agree.
allergics, for example,
Yes.
you can become addicted to.
So before you got married, you had an idea you knew he was doing weed, but that was it. And there was no other symptoms, as in sniffles.
No.
But
Well, he did always suffer with sinus, right? But it wasn't like to that extent of where his nose was continuously leaking and all of those
Yeah.
things.
But if you knew at that age, do you think you would have had a different opinion if you didn't speak to anyone? I mean, I don't know whether you spoke to anyone about it prior to getting married. But let's say you didn't and you knew he was doing other things. Do you think you would have still love heals everything? Yeah?
Yeah.
So 6 years in the marriage, you realize he's doing hardcore drugs. How was that emotionally?
It was overwhelming. It wasn't a nice place to be in. I mean, I feel like emotional abuse is something that nobody really speaks about because you can't see it. But it is psychologically damaging. You know, you feel like I can't even explain it. I never spoke to anybody about it. I kept it to myself.
Why? What about friends, best friends?
No.
Why not?
I just felt that it was a temporary thing and that I could fix him. And yeah, I wanted the marriage to work basically. And I just assumed that he will get better.
Did you have a plan on how you could fix him?
No. I didn't have a plan. I just assumed that if he loved me enough, and I'm just being honest,
Yeah.
I just assumed that, you know what, if he loves me and we have kids now, that he's going to stop. And
To
he
man up.
always, yeah. And it's something that we did speak about. And every single time he'd do it, and I used to get so angry. And he'll always be remorseful after, and he'll tell me, no, I promise you, I'm going to stop. This is the last time. And I believed him. And then that's when I got to the point where I told you after I gave birth and I came home, and this is what I found out. And I was livid. And his younger brother also lived in Cape Town at that time. And I called him home and I'm like, you know what, something's got to give. We've tried everything. We went for Hajj, we came back and I thought it's going to stop. It hasn't. This is a situation, he needs help. So we decided to put him into a rehab facility in
Did the
Cape
brother
Town.
know about it prior to the conversation?
Yes, he did.
To what extent? As in weed or other things?
He did know about the other things because I did mention to him when my jewelry went missing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So prior to that, then, what I'm asking is, just before you got married, did the brother know?
Yeah, they did.
Or was it just weed? Did they knew only about weed or other stuff?
No, they knew about the other stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And then, so we put him into rehab. It was in Cape Town. I can't remember the name of it now. It wasn't an Islamic one. And
So now you're like a single mother, pretty much, because he's gone.
Yep. I've been divorced for like about 3-4 years now. Yep.
No, but at the time in Cape Town when he was gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was alone. Now
You're alone,
imagine
that's what
I'm
I'm
in
saying,
Cape
yeah.
Town. My mom and my sisters are in Pietermaritzburg. I was
Yeah.
completely alone. I felt
So you were working, bringing money in.
no, I wasn't working at that time. When
So
I
how
was
was
in
money?
Cape Town, we had a business in PMB.
Okay.
My dad's late. So I was actually getting an income from there every month. So it
Okay.
was enough to sustain myself.
Right.
The ex had a really good job in Cape Town, and obviously he was seeing to everything. But now that he was in rehab, he had to tell work, that this is the situation. And
Okay, yeah.
unfortunately, while he was in rehab, he lost his job. And it so happened at the same time, our family business wasn't doing too well at that time. And yeah, so everything, we were just going through a really difficult time. And I was at home with these 3 kids now. My mom came home and she told me, you know what, you cannot stay here still. You're coming back to PMB. But I'm like, he's in rehab. I'm going to have to visit him on weekends and whatever the case may be. And she's like, no, you're coming to PMB. You're going to have to stay there for at least a month or whatever. So I went to PMB and then she helped with the kids.
So you
While
left
he
him
was in
in
rehab.
rehab?
Yep.
He knew.
It was only for a month, but we used to speak to each other over the phone.
Was he okay with that? But don't you have to be there as a support system?
Yeah, because
As
they
a
have
partner,
like
yeah.
weekly meetings and whatever the case may be. But I went for one and then I explained to them the situation that I can't be here. I had 3 kids. I had no support system, nobody
Yeah,
to
fair
help me
enough.
take care of the home, the kids. And my emotional state, I needed to be in a good emotional state to be able to take care of a newborn. So, yeah.
So then you went to PMB and then?
I went to PMB and then I stayed there for like about a month and then I got back, met with the psych, and the psych told me, you know what, he is due to be released now, but from his perspective or from whatever he's gauged, that he feels that it's in his best interest if he stays for another month. And then they gave me an opportunity to obviously meet with him and I spoke to him and he cried and he was like, no, this month was enough. I haven't seen my kid. He was just born and I promise you I'm better now. This rehab has really helped me and the psychologist doesn't know what he's talking about. And, I have had enough and I want to come home now. And I looked at him and he was fragile and he looked like this child. And I felt sorry for him. And I'm like, okay, fine, you can come home. And then I told the psychologist, he said, at the end of the day, it's your decision to make, but I'm still telling you.
How
that
does
he
it
needs
work?
to
He
be
can come and go as he pleases? Or?
No.
No. They would lock you in there.
Yeah.
But only once they're ready, they say you can leave.
Okay.
So after that, we moved back to PMB.
Right.
Not long after that. I think my last born was just about a month. We decided to sell our house in Cape Town and move back to PMB. Because he said that he needs to be away from that environment,
Okay.
that whole environment, start afresh, start clean, be closer to family. So I decided to move back with him. I think it was within that year. My baby was he was only about 6 months old. So like within that period that we moved back and he was working for his brother, he started again. Because I remember he sold a phone at home. And don't ask me where he was getting access to this from. But yeah, he started again. I eventually called his dad, called his brother, and I said, like, this is the situation. I don't know what's happening. I even ended up going to see a Molana. And I explained to him the situation. And I'm like, I can't do this. I've got 3 kids and this man doesn't want to change. And at one point, he even told me, if you want to go through with the divorce, you can go through with it. And then he sat down and broke down and started crying and being remorseful. And he's like, he's got nobody else and he's going to stop. And then it was like the cycle all over again. I forgave him. And
You forgave him because you felt sorry for him, or you forgave him because you loved him?
I think both. I did love him, but I felt sorry for him as well.
So why don't you? So because he came to you and he apologized, you didn't go through the divorce, the fasakh.
Nope.
And what did his family say?
To be honest, I felt that they weren't really helpful. It was just that you wanted to marry him. It's your problem. You deal with it.
That was his mother as well.
You had to go there. Right?
Yeah, we're going everywhere. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
His mom and I never had a good relationship at all.
From the start?
From the start. She didn't like me. She didn't want him to get married to me.
Why not?
She wanted him to marry somebody else. I don't know.
And they didn't know that he was on drugs at that time.
She didn't know.
Right.
But his dad knew. And his brothers knew.
Because some families also like, no, we know he's on drugs, but get married, it'll sort him out. So I thought it was one of those moments.
It's like the gay issues.
Yeah, the gay issues.
Yeah, so they knew. And they actually told my dad as well before we got married. So my dad came to me, I remember, before we got married, and he's like, are you sure this is what you want?
Wait, what did they tell your dad?
I think his dad told my dad, you know what, that he has a drug issue.
Oh my God, that changes everything.
I
Yeah.
know.
That changes everything.
And then,
Okay?
So my dad approached me before we got married, and he's like, are you sure you want to get married to this person? Because just before the wedding, his brother and him got into an argument in front of my dad and his dad as well. And I looked at my dad and I'm like, yeah, I want to get
But
married.
did your dad, did it actually tell your dad that he's got a problem?
Yeah, but I don't know to what extent, you
Okay.
know, like I wasn't there when the conversation happened.
So then you
know
can't
that they
really
told
blame
me
the
that.
family.
why not?
They came and warned you. You chose to marry him.
Yeah, but the extent, you don't understand the extent of that time. You know, you just think like, okay, like now you ask, most young boys are like, yeah, we smoke weed. It's normal.
He's a thief.
Because you're not going to think it's going to be, it's like,
If someone
the
steals
guy is
something, it doesn't
hardcore.
matter what he steals.
Does it matter what it steals or
No,
what?
he's still a thief, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
right. Yeah, but no, it depends. If he's a bank robber
What doesn't
compared
make
to a
any
guy who's pickpocketing, it's a huge difference. there.
No, the sin is the same.
This is not talking about the sin.
I'm talking about the
we're
sin.
not, no, we're not talking about the sin. We're not talking about the sin.
No.
We're talking about the situation, the extent. You don't understand. The guy, if someone tells you, you know, sometimes he robs. Okay, you'll say, okay, fine, maybe it's just something small. Here, you don't understand that when you know what I'm saying. It wasn't spelled out like this guy is potentially hardcore.
Well, no, I don't think any family's going to say, listen, don't marry my son. He's a psychotic, he's an alcoholic.
No,
he's
they're
a
never gonna
cocaine
say
addict.
that, yeah.
He's got a problem. Now you decide.
Yeah, it's a good comment.
You decide.
No one's going to do that. No one's going to say that. So I understand that.
Your dad didn't say no.
No.
So he left it to you. To
He told me, is this what you want?
Oh, I guess
And
you,
I'm
you must have been one of those
I'm
girls
like,
that
yes,
hell,
I
man.
want.
Yeah,
I'm going to run away if this doesn't marry.
Yeah.
We almost did.
There you go.
We
Yeah.
almost did.
I'm going to run away. You're not going to see the grandchildren.
Yeah.
We almost did, to be honest. I think that's what I'm saying. And so my dad came home on the Monday and he was like, right, on Thursday, your nikah is taking place. I'm like, what? Because I think my dad was so scared that we were going to elope and get married. And he's like, you're going to get married on Thursday and that's it. And the nikah was done. And yeah, sadly, my dad passed away before my firstborn was actually born. And he passed away about 2 weeks before I could give birth to my first child. And my dad and I got into an argument before he passed away. It's something that will haunt me for the rest of my life because the words that I said to him and how the fight actually started was there was some money that went missing. My dad owned a car sales. He was one of the largest independent car sale dealers in Pietermaritzburg. And some money went missing from the safe, a huge amount of money. And my ex-husband and I both were working for my dad at that time. And everybody pointed to my ex-husband because I think they knew like a bit of the history and stuff. And I know for a fact that it wasn't him. And the truth eventually came out. I'm not going to go into that.
But it wasn't him.
But, hey?
It wasn't him.
No,
truth
it wasn't him,
Okay.
right? But my dad was insistent because he believed a family member.
Yeah.
And that it was my ex-husband and whatever the case may be. So obviously there was an exchange of words and I was absolutely upset. And I told my dad, you know what? You will never get to see your grandchild. And 2 weeks later, he drowned.
Oh,
Yeah. And yeah, I never got a chance to say, you know what, I'm sorry. And yeah, he never saw his grandchild.
but as happens in life, we make these decisions and we got to live with it for the rest of our lives. So, I mean, what you're sharing today for someone who's going through this, and we're going to continue more in the story, but I'm just saying for now, it's so vital to realize the decisions you make at a young age, even though we all make the silliest decisions, can affect you so much, so deep. Not you, but your family, your children, and so many others down that line. So making that decision, I know it's hard for young people to make. It's like, I'm in love, or things are looking good, and we're optimistic, but you have to be real about life. And I think that's you sharing this. I must commend you, because that's the value it's going to teach people of the importance of decision making, of trusting the process, of asking advice for elders. It may be difficult, but it's sometimes so vital to protect you from so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was like this thing with him. It was like the cycle. It was like he'd be good and he'll stop everything for a while and then he'd start again. I mean, I say stop everything, even the weed. He would stop doing that. And honestly, I believe that even the weed is a problem because it does lead to other things. Because when he was completely off the weed, he was actually a good person. And then there were times when I had to question myself, like, who is the person that I'm actually in love with? Because he would be like completely different people. So I remember his dad and his brothers got involved and they spoke to him and whatever the case may be. And he promised that he's not going to, do that again. He was remorseful. And our family business, after my dad passed away and whatever the case may be, we decided to sell because, for whatever reason, it wasn't doing too well. And so we both now were without a job. So we started working for a cousin of mine. He owned clothing shops, and he said that he has a vacancy in Stanger, this was, so we both can run the shop. So like in all this time, we were working together, and things were doing well. I mean, things were going okay. He wasn't on anything, and we both worked together, came home, and things were just back to normal again. Things seemed fine for a while. Then we moved to Durban because the business in Pitchipston wasn't doing well. They decided to close, and then we both moved to Durban. Got a place to stay in Durban. We both got jobs in Durban. And for, I would say, a good few years, maybe about 2 years, 3 years staying in Durban, things were going well. And
as in nothing?
No. Nothing. He would still smoke weed. Okay, so I wouldn't say nothing. He would still do the weed. Still, but there was no other addiction.
Yeah.
Like, I know that for a fact. And it happened, it was in 2012 or 2015, I think it was somewhere around there, where he had like a major fallout. So I do not know what substance he was taking, but he literally started going ballistic. It was as though he was somebody else. He just started hallucinating, started becoming violent, but more violent towards himself. He wasn't ever physically abusive.
Okay.
But he just woke up the one day and he started hallucinating, started doing like really silly things. Now, by that time, my kids are big, they're at the age where they can understand what's going on. So the youngest, I think he must have only been about 6, and he was like, what's going on? He couldn't understand what's happening. And I myself couldn't make sense of it. So I told him, what's going on? The next day, I was like, is there a problem? Like, are you doing your nonsense again? And he denied it. And I got a drug test from the pharmacy. And we did a drug test, and obviously it came out positive. And there was not just cocaine on there were other stuff on. Obviously, the weed came up and some other stuff. And I called his dad. I called his brother, sorry. And I'm like, this is a situation. And there was one uncle that always came to our aid, but he lived all the way in Bloemfontein. So there wasn't much that he could do personally. But he said, you know what, maybe he needs to go on Jamaat. So at that time,
Why are you
at
laughing?
that time,
That's the rehab.
It's a change. Yeah, it's a change
the
of
real.
it's a change of environment.
This is what we do in our community.
What?
Go Jamaat, go here, go there. Go sort
Maulid.
the problem out. No, but the point being, sort the problem out. Jamaat is not a rehab.
So will you say this?
It doesn't, no, I'm saying we need to deal with the
So you say
problem.
go to the Bachapir Mazar.
Same. Don't go to Bashapid, Mazar, don't go to no Mazar, don't go no Jamaat, go sort the bloody problem out. Jamaat is not going to sort the problem out. Bashapid is not going to sort the problem out. That's the reality of it.
You're serious saying that?
100%. 100%. It's like, okay, I got some sickness. Don't go doctor, go Jamaat. It's a sickness. It's a problem.
Right. But I would say the change of environment would help.
Okay? But
Not
then
that you can't do drugs
I-
while at Jamaat. I don't think that's the reality.
You don't
Could.
think so?
No, you could. That's what I'm saying. You could still find
You're
it.
not sorting the problem out.
No.
Yeah.
yeah.
The core issue. You need to sort the core issues out.
So that was a suggestion that they made, that he needs to go on Jamaat for like maybe 40 days. He needs, a change of scenery or whatever. Maybe he needs to get closer to his creator.
But, you know, sorry, with that being said,
But like
if
a
you're a
retreat,
hardcore drug addict,
Yeah.
your withdrawals is going to F you up.
Yeah.
Now imagine you're going crazy in Jamaat. You're going to someone buy, come to the mosque, because you can't
He
control
looked at
this.
me
You can't
funny,
control
yeah.
this stuff.
True.
I mean, you got to.
It has to be a controlled environment.
100%.
Okay.
I mean, the intention is great.
Yeah.
But-
But the withdrawals are...
the withdrawals is something else.
Whoa, there's something else. And that's
But
what
did the
I
Jamaat work though?
experienced.
Did they give him a time
So
to
when
switch
he
off?
came back from Jamaat, yes, once again, completely different person. It's like I'm seeing somebody completely new. He came back with this renewed energy and he was just completely different. So I'm like, wow, okay, the Jamaat obviously worked. And then things were back to normal again for a while, for maybe about a year, 2 years. And then it started again. And I think by this time, I was like...
How long you married now?
16, 17.
Yeah, 17 years. Which is a really long time.
Is this closer to the end now?
Yeah, this was closer to the end. And I think, when it came to the last straw, and I was like,
Why were you still there though?
why was I still?
Why were you still in the marriage?
And on the same question, because I'm looking at someone listening to the story, I'm going to be very blunt here, saying, like, to me, it doesn't make sense. It's like you're constantly just going back. Like you're asking for this. Like you just want to go back and constantly go through the struggle. And you're constantly believing it. And I don't know where that comes from. Does it come from the point of saying where you trust that person?
Make sabr, bye.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is the point where like this is my duty now because he's my husband? Is it that? Is it more like no because I love him and I care for him and I want good for him, or is it just the fact that it's yourself and you maybe
I'm in
giving
a
example,
comfort zone with my
low,
family.
yeah, or a lower
I
self-esteem.
don't know if I get
and I
married
don't know
again.
or it could the last one. It could also be as I'm saying. I don't know. Could be the fact that like there's what else? I still got something here at least. So I'll just
Because
grab onto
it comes
this,
across to me.
It's
I'm not saying this is you, just generally
Yeah.
when I
This
generally
is for
have this
others,
conversation.
for them to
And
process.
trust me, I get a lot of kickback on this. If he knew he keeps coming back to you and you taking him in, and then you're also the source of finance, would you not say then in a way you enabled him?
A lot of questions here.
I mean, it's a loaded question.
But it's just we try to understand it,
No.
right? And this is going to help someone who's going through it right now to answer the same, for them to answer the question to themselves, right?
Like, at what point, I mean, yours was under 20 years plus, under 20 years. At what point do you say, listen, I'm khatful, enough's enough, I'm done? Because I have my own life, I got to worry about my children, I got to worry about my own sanity, or my own finances. I have 3 kids to feed. At what point do you say enough is enough? And at what point do you say, hey, you're not a good example to my kids? But I'm sure if this affected you in some way or the other, it affected your kids.
Yeah. Okay, so there is a lot to take in, but you're right when you say, you enable them, but walking away is easy.
Right.
It's very easy to just walk away from a marriage. the thing is, when you leave or when you decide that this is it, this is the end of it, and you decide that it's time to walk away, you got to take, there's so many factors that you need to take into consideration. You know, your emotional well-being, the financial well-being, the support system. And I think a lot of the times people stay in a marriage because they don't have that support system to help them to cope. There is nobody. Like in my situation, my dad was late, my mom wasn't around, and whatever the case may be, I just completely felt like I was alone to deal with the situation, number one. Number two, the reason why I didn't just walk away when I knew I should have is because I believed him. I mean, I saw a part of him where he was completely, remorseful for what he did. And I believed that he is going to change, because apart from addiction is a disease. We have to look at it in that way. He was obviously addicted to something. He couldn't get away from it. And he promised me that he's going to change, and I believed him. He wasn't physically abusive.
Are you saying addiction is a disease now after you divorced? Or are you saying that I knew addiction is a disease while being married to him?
No, I'm saying that now.
Okay.
After.
But you wouldn't like the next question then?
So, at the end of the day, there came a point where I can say to myself, you know what, I tried. I tried with the rehab. I was there for him. I honestly thought that he is going to change. And it was only now that I realized, I would try to fix him. But you cannot fix what you didn't break.
How is that your job, though?
Because
you're the wife.
Yes, when you get married, like as a wife, you would try whatever.
It's your friend.
I came from a broken home. He came from a broken home. And I always thought that divorce was never on the agenda. I just thought that I'm getting married and it's going to be for keeps. So I honestly thought that if I'm going to try and fix it, that eventually he would see that he needs to change. But you reach a point where you just tell, like another one of my clients asked me this the other day, how do you know when enough is enough? How do you know when to walk out? You will just know. It would come to you. Like you'd reach a point like me where I just woke up and I'm like, this is it. I cannot do this anymore. I have 2 sons. He's obviously not the perfect role model for them, and I'm going to leave. And I remember that day clearly. I went to him and I told him I'm leaving. I went to the Jamaat and I told him my situation, and I'm like, if he doesn't want to give me talaq, I want a khula. Obviously, they tried. They said, no, you need to reconcile. And they tried for me to speak to. There was another woman that I had to speak to go for counseling. And I'm like, no.
Reconcile in what way? Like reconcile what? Did they offer him rehab? Did they offer him help?
Yeah.
No,
But I'm trying to understand, like, what are you reconciling?
Reconciling a guy who's on drugs, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, go
No.
make him off, only Allah take it away. That don't make sense. It makes no sense to me.
Make dua, bhai.
Yeah, make dua, like, I don't get this.
So, and then I reached that point where I told him, you know what, this is it, I'm leaving. And then he looked at me and he's like, no, where are you going to go to and whatever.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that's what he told me, where are you going to go? So I said, I found a place and I am going. And he honestly thought I'm lying.
So his response was, where are you going to go? Instead of saying, I love you, don't go.
Yeah. No.
That's so different.
And I found a place and I've got boxes, and he still thought I'm lying until the day that I literally moved out the house. And then that's when he started begging me. He's like, no, nobody's going to... And the things he said to me after that were like so strange. Obviously, he was remorseful. And then he said things like, no, where are you going to go? You're not going to... If I can't have you, no one else is going to have you. Nobody is going to want to marry a woman with 3 kids. And I'm like...
Oh, so he was using emotional blackmail.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't care about all of that. I just want safety for myself and my kids away from you. Because
Stability.
I didn't get to the part of why I made that decision at that time. I'm still getting there. So I remember it was the one day he was completely off the charts. It's just like an overnight thing. Like he just woke up. And
You ever saw him doing it, though?
No, that's the thing.
But he never did it at home.
No.
So not
Well,
shooting,
I don't know if he
shooting
did it
up
at home.
or,
Because
not in front
like
of you guys.
with cocaine, how do you do it?
Cocaine, you don't shoot him.
Well, I don't know these things. I'm innocent,
Snuff
naive.
it.
Like I think people can do it in the bathroom and you won't even know. Am I right?
Sniff it.
Yeah, watch
Powder.
Watch Narcos. Narco.
So what's the one that you like burn? In a
And
spoon?
inhale.
Yeah, I see those.
That's the...
Tuck.
God, you're talking about old
Mandra.
stuff.
No, I don't know.
What's your
You're
favorite?
old stuff. Rocks.
Rocks.
You smoke.
Mandrax.
No, but what you inhale now, I think it's tuk.
Tuk.
Mandrax is buttons that you smoke. What you inject is something you also burn and you inject. But the injection,
Ecstasy is a tablet.
you would see it on the arm.
Is that not what? Heroin?
Heroin, yes.
So he had those signs.
No.
No, but heroin, he'll be out of
But
it.
he was definitely taking something else, like or
LSD?
whoever. I don't know what it was because the really last time or the last episode that he had, I don't know what he was taking, to be honest. But when I tell you, when I looked at him, it was as though I'm looking at a complete stranger. He was completely a different person. He was doing stuff like not just to myself, to the kids. He was doing silly things, getting up at all odd hours, reading Salah like at different times, just doing like crazy things at home, and he wasn't even aware of what he was doing. And then he kept on telling the kids things like making things up, like, no, they mustn't go into the room because there's somebody sleeping there. So they were like in fear. And they were like, Mom,
So
what is going on?
you could say that maybe he was hallucinating.
Yes. And it was so scary. And I remember the one day, like I worked, full time and work retail hours. And then I come home and then I have to deal with this at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I tried reaching out to his family and I'm like, I can't do this on my own. I need help. But they didn't understand the extent of it. I think they thought maybe I'm making it up. But they weren't there. They weren't living. I even sent them videos to tell them I'm not making this up. This is the person. This is him. And they were in shock. They were like, what is going on? Because he was doing such erratic things at
So
home.
what did they do about it after that?
They still didn't come down. Not one of them. Like literally, they didn't. They heard what I had to say, but nobody came down. So the one day I got home, my daughter called me. I remember I was at work and she's like, Mom, you need to come home. I'm like, what's going on? So I could hear him screaming in the background. And my daughter, I could hear the panic in her voice. And I told them, just lock yourselves in the room. I'm coming. So all three of them had to lock themselves up in the room. And I can hear banging and he was trying to bang the door down. And so I got home and he was literally outside screaming. And apparently he was trying to get hold of his dealer. He even gave him the address. And for this, my youngest one to know this, because apparently he saw a message on his phone. So he was petrified that Dad's dealer is outside. He knows where we live. And I come home and he was literally having a tantrum. Nobody could contain him. We couldn't hold him down. So I called. He has relatives uncles that live in Durban. So I called them because I had no one else to call. And I told them, this is a situation. He's like completely off the charts. You need to come home and you need to help. So they came home. They couldn't themselves restrain him. He was gone ballistic. Kept on saying he needs his fix. So what happened was they told me, you know what, there's nothing more they could do. I must actually try and get hold of Rauf and all of those things. And with Rauf, you can't just take a person. They need to come on their own, willingly. And that's what nobody could understand. Like people were like, no, just put him in the car and just take him there and all of those things. Like people are quick to say things, but nobody is willing to help.
Understand, yeah.
So they told me just go and stay at, my cousin lives in Durban as well, go and live with her, leave him there. I said, I'm going to leave him alone in this state at home. They said, yes, there's nothing more we can do. Maybe in the morning, when he's calm.
The rehab
we can
said that
take
or
it
the
from there.
uncles?
Eh?
Who said that to you? The
His
rehab
uncles.
or the uncles? Okay.
Yeah. And I got home the next day, and he was still completely, like, out of it. Like, he didn't know where he was or what's going on. So I put him in the car, and I took him to hospital. And they basically told me that he has bipolar. And it could be because of the years of substance abuse or drug abuse.
Yeah.
And he was diagnosed bipolar, and they gave him a whole lot of medication. And then I looked at him, and then at that point, I said to myself, I'm not doing this anymore.
Before you would say, oh, I feel so sorry for him now. He's diagnosed with this. You'll make those excuses.
Yes.
This time it was, that's it. I've done enough.
When I saw the fear in my kids' eyes, that's when I told myself, you're a mother first before being a wife. And you cannot put your kids through this. I mean, let alone them. I mean, myself, I couldn't put myself through that anymore. And then I told myself, this is it. I'm making the decision. I'm going to walk out.
How are
I
your
did.
kids now, emotionally, mentally?
I feel like they're in a much better space now. I think when we just got divorced, obviously they weren't. The little one, he has anxiety issues. Like he gets scared very easily because I still remember he was the one that was at home that day and he knew that the dealer was outside and he was like very scared. I noticed when we drive and every time he would see a certain car, because he saw the car that was outside, he'd get scared or he'll hide and he'll duck. So I think, and he feels now that he was very young when all these issues happened, and he feels that he never had that relationship or like a role model or a father in his life. I'm everything to him, his mom, his dad. So whenever we speak about his dad, he feels that he doesn't know what a father really is because he never had a relationship with his dad. So, yeah. But when I look at them now, even though it's just us at home, they are in a much better place now than they were then.
So during this period, was there any a time that you both sought for counseling apart from the rehab that he went for? Was there any form of counseling that was done? Any, other person apart from the family that was helping and guiding? No,
they weren't. But when we went to the Jamaat, so we did. They did advise that we go for counseling, and I did go and I spoke to this woman.
Doesn't they provided it?
Yeah,
You had to,
they did.
okay.
And I went and I spoke to her and I told her my story, and she called him and she, explained to him the situation, and she told him, why don't you come and have let's do a counseling session. He spoke to her very nicely over the phone, but he kept on cancelling the counseling appointment. So
and counseling for the children as well? No. Would you think that was something you would have helped, especially your children go through this as the time was, or would it be, listen, wasn't going to be any value at that point in time?
At that point in time, no, I didn't think so.
Yeah, because a lot of people right now are going through what you're saying, and it's not a thing about class or race or background or location. This is from the rich to the poor to all races, going through a very similar journey. And the most vulnerable obviously have the most difficult time. They don't have access to stuff that the rich would have, right? I don't know, rehabs are free and some are paid, and so that's another whole discussion. So the difficulties that they may have, and hearing your story may give them the confidence to make that correct decision. And you mentioned something like your children, the point that made you change was you saw the fear in the eyes of your children. And I think that sometimes you need that real hard moment for you to make that decision. Others would say, oh, it's early in your marriage. If it was in the early stages, like just, bear with it. It won't be okay. It's a tough question to ask. When is the right time, right?
When is enough enough?
When is enough? And for some, it may just be the first time and like I'm done. Others, it's like, no, I can handle this a little longer. It's a tough one to go through,
So at that time when you asked for divorce, were you still in love?
To be honest, no.
At what point did you realize you're not?
I think it was at that moment where I looked at him. So I think it was a progression. So I would say from about 2015 to about when we got divorced. So from about 2015 to 2019, when all these issues kept happening, I feel like I fell out of love with him because I basically saw him as a completely different person.
For me, one of the more important things right now is people who are watching this and who are going through the situation. What is the way out? What would you tell them? Jump, skip, don't worry about the finances, don't worry about everything else, you'll be okay, just leave him, it's not going to work. Or even if it's a female, not just men, it could be a female that's going through this, who's doing the drug abuse, and the male is like taking care of the family fully. What are you going to tell them? Is it depending on time frame? I don't know what the dependence is.
No, it actually depends on the situation. I wouldn't, obviously now being a life coach and I'm thinking from a life coach perspective, I would never tell a person to leave.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Why?
I'm being honest. It's not something that you're going to tell them. You would listen to their situation, and basically it needs to come from them. Whatever they feel that they need to do. And then that's what I, as a life coach, that's where I come in and I basically help them to get to that decision. But it's not something that I'm going to just tell them, hey, you know what, leave.
So if someone comes and asks you advice, like, hey, I need your opinion on this. You've been through this.
I'm 10 years in this
I'm
marriage.
10 years in this shitty marriage. I don't know what to do. I have 3 kids. You would say, follow your heart.
No.
What would you say?
So say,
No, I'm not going to tell them to follow their heart. Obviously, I would assess the situation and we
Yeah.
will get them by asking her the question. So we will dig deep or dive deep into the situation.
So
and
basically,
by
you're going to
asking
become a
her-
puppeteer to guide her out.
No, by
guide her
asking
into
her,
it.
she will basically come to the answer herself.
at what point is that?
That's what I'm trying to get, because how much of abuse is enough?
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Like at what point do you say, if I to use your situation as an example, like at what point do I say, hey, my kids are more important than you? I'm sorry, their well-being is more important than your dumbass addiction.
Yeah.
Like at what point, or do I say, okay, I love you, I forgive you, Allah's all forgiving, subhanallah, I'll forgive you, come home, we make love, then the next day we all go, we have breakfast together, and then you become a dick again. Like at what
Yeah.
point? At when do you stop the cycle?
Yeah, I know exactly. I hear what you're saying. And when you say it that way, I mean, obviously there comes a point when you yourself as a person in the situation that you're in, you come to the realization that, you know what, enough is enough. And if I look at my situation, right, let's leave everyone else. If I look at my situation and if I look at everything that I've been through, and I'll be honest with you, I just wish that I left sooner.
So here's a question for you. If you had no kids,
Yes.
just go play with me.
Yeah,
Play
yeah.
along with
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Said play with me, sorry. Play along with me. And if your ex did what he did, but not with your kids, there's no kids around, where do you think you would have been today?
I would have walked out.
Yeah.
Even without,
Yes.
okay. Because you said your kids
I
was
know.
there.
I know that was what I said. That's when I came to the point of, you know, where I just really needed to walk out. But I would have walked out.
And how did
Definitely.
you, alhamdulillah, I mean, now you've walked out of it and I presume you're a different person now.
Yes.
So how did you manage to overcome the trauma and the pain for the past years that you experienced? What did you have to do?
Look, it wasn't easy. If I think back to the beginning, it really, really wasn't easy. Even though I was the one that wanted the divorce, right? We were married for a really long time. 19 years was a long time. And I think that a lot of the times, I understand now why that period is so important. Unfortunately, I never had that because I had to work. When you get divorced or when your husband passes away, a woman has to sit in iddat, right?
Right.
And nobody really understands why. Like, I spoke to some women and like, why do we have to sit in iddat? But I actually understand the reason why now. Because when you are married and or divorced or whatever the case may be, and when you sit in that period, it is that grace period. It's like we don't understand our emotional state when we go through something like a divorce or a loss. And I feel like your iddat period is that period for you to just reflect and to, you know, to understand everything that you're
So
going
that time
through.
frame is enough?
No, I
Okay.
feel like it's not. But for some people, yeah, if they have the luxury of being in iddat and somebody to take care of them, then it probably is. But for me, I think it took me a whole year to get over it. But as soon as I got divorced, I was working. I was like the sole breadwinner for my kids. He wasn't contributing for a while towards maintenance. So I literally threw myself into work. So it was just work, home, kids. And that was my everyday routine. So I didn't even have the time, to be honest. I didn't have that time to myself. I didn't have the time to heal. I didn't have the time to just reflect on everything that was going on. So it was difficult. And I think it took me a whole year to come to the realization that, you know, whatever happened and that, yeah.
So what inspired you to be a life coach?
Because there's so many people that I've come across that are going through similar situations and they just don't have the support system. I didn't
So
have the
life
support
coaches are the
system.
support system.
Yes,
Really?
yes,
I
absolutely.
don't disagree with you on this.
Yeah, yeah. So you were saying you're now a registered NLP life coach. Excuse my language, but what is this bullshit? I'll tell you why. Because I know a counselor, for someone you talking to someone through going through emotional issues. You study 3 years, plus then an honors, then a master's, and you call yourself a psychologist or a counselor. You have to be registered with a authority. You report to, you have certain code of conduct. Now people are coming up and saying, oh, we NLPs, I've been through some stuff, and now I go to one of course, I don't know how long your course was. The courses I know are like 6 weeks, some are 2 weeks, some are 2 days. And then I'm registered as an NLP, which is what's
Neuro-linguistic
program, and a life coach, and I can coach others in their lives. That doesn't give you the right to do so, and it can become dangerous if you do so. Now, I'm not saying in your circumstance where you've been through this, you can definitely tell someone, hey.
Do you have the experience?
Yeah, I've got the experience. I know exactly what
side.
you're going through in this case.
Yeah, in this case.
But then someone comes to you and says, oh, well, I've got another marriage issue or an issue with my child. And then you're like, oh, I'm also coaching them. Can you see the abuse that could happen there? That's why I have a concern when people start saying I'm a life coach. And the perception out there that someone who's a life coach has all the knowledge, and that's where I get worried about. So now it's your turn.
I understand
Yeah.
where, your confusion, I would say, is
Okay.
coming from, because I think a lot of the people, they have this misconception on life coach, because a lot of people misuse the term life coach, right?
Yeah.
So a life coach is not medically trained. We're not medically trained professionals. You
Right.
get psychologists, obviously, that are trained medically and professionally to treat and to diagnose a situation. And a lot of the time, a psychologist would deal with the trauma and, everything else that a person or the patient is going through. A life coach, basically what we are here for is we help you with the tools, and we help you to navigate your problems by guiding you into the present and into the future. So we don't dive into the past. Sometimes we work hand in hand with the psychologist.
But
if
past
the
is trauma.
patient is, yeah.
How do you get over the trauma?
So if a patient is through, we basically have a set of tools that we use to help you to get through the trauma. So there's actually I had a client this morning, and she was going through some sort of trauma. She actually went to a psychologist as well. But she sees a psychologist, but she feels that she wanted to see a life coach as well, because a life coach, basically, we build their confidence. So a psychologist will help to treat the trauma part of it, and a life coach basically helps her, guides her with, and builds up her confidence. That's what a life coach does. So we deal with the present, and we give her a set of goals to deal with her, help with her future.
So you're not diagnosing?
No.
You're not counseling in that sense. You more just here's ways and methods that you can really change your life and put things in order.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I know it works because I used some of those exercises on myself personally. And the people that I have coached as well can vouch for me that it has helped, it has worked. So I'm not here saying I'm a medically trained professional and I'm going to diagnose your situation. No.
Yeah. Okay. But you agree they can be abused, and
Yes.
people are abusing it.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I got my answer.
Happy you cancel.
No, that's a good answer. Yeah, no doubt.
It's a very safe
clear.
answer.
It's a safe answer, but it
Very, very
clarifies
safe
it.
answer.
She's being honest about it, and she's clarifying that
Agreed.
I'm not here to diagnose you, and I can't, and it's not legal to do so. But yeah, you're just helping straighten their life. So, here's some tools, and you could do it for kids as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I'm doing bad at school, or someone's bullying you. Okay, here's some methodologies you can use to get more confident in your way. So, okay, I can agree with that. That's not a problem. Basically, what you and I do.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't need training for that.
100%.
Maybe I can give you a lesson or two in life coaching.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you can come to us.
Yeah,
Ever thought about that?
yeah. Mindscape life coaching. No problem.
100%. So tell me, what advice would you give someone? Someone who's going through the exact same thing. Emotional.
How many years are they going through it? It's like maybe
10 years plus.
10 years plus.
They're
Yeah.
going through the same thing.
The same
The same roller coaster. I know of people or families that have been through this, and it sucks. It really does. I mean, I can't imagine what you went through. That's your journey. And I'm so glad that you're telling the story, because I think you're going to give a lot of people the confidence now to come out. Because I think we were discussing this. everyone goes through. We were discussing this earlier. Everyone goes through this. Or everybody knows of someone that goes through this, but there's no real support system out there from the community. Because everyone's scared. Oh, I can't talk about it. So what the people gonna say? What the people gonna say? And then they're gonna blame the victim, so to say. I know you said you're the victim.
Yeah.
They're somehow or the other going to shift blame. So, what advice would you give a single woman, and what advice would you give someone with kids? So they would say a woman, a man as well. Would it be different? Would it be the same?
It wouldn't really be different. I think it would be the same, right? Obviously, everybody has their own, or it's going through different situations, right? But my advice would be and it's something that I often tell people, that a lot of the times we are scared. Honestly speaking, we are scared. We are afraid. Firstly, like you said, we're scared about what other people might think about us. We're scared of judgment. We're just scared to move on. Like, those are the fears that I had in the beginning. Like, am I going to do this on my own? Will I be able to take care of my kids? And that fear stopped me for a long time. So my advice was do not be afraid. You need to put your trust in your Creator, in Allah, firstly. Put your trust in your Creator. And just put your fear aside. And you need to basically think for yourself. And not think about what the next person is going to say. And if you feel that the situation that you're in is toxic, then you need to make that decision for yourself to move on. And don't worry about anything else. Just focus on getting better for yourself. And that's the advice I would give to anybody, because we let fear stop us from everything.
The most important thing right now is there are support structures, right? So you're saying someone's going through it, can go to an NLP, they can go to a psychologist, they can go. Where else can they go to? Do you know of any other, like are there any agencies that help with this?
No, to be honest, in my situation as well, I feel like there was not any support structures that are put into place. And a lot of women don't really know that, that they are, things are expensive, let's face it. Like, a lot of the times that if you go to a psychologist, I'm not even sure what the price is now, but maybe it's like about 600 to 1,000 Rand a session to go for therapy. And there's nobody that's offering like a free service right now. So a lot of these women are stuck in that situation. Like, I spoke to a woman just recently, and this woman is also, she's quite old, married for a really long period of time, maybe like going on to 20 years. And she is in the same situation, and she's got no support system. She wants the help. She wants the therapy. She actually called me, and I had a conversation with her, and she told me that she wants the help, but she's honest with me. She just doesn't have the money. She doesn't have the finances right now to get the help. And I told her, you know what, it's fine. I understand your situation and where you're coming from. But, I can try and help you wherever I can, because I could see that she was desperate and she needed somebody to speak to. So a lot of the times people don't ask for help because they don't have the finances, maybe, to get through it. So, yeah. There aren't any much support systems, to be honest, that I know of.
So there's a lot of work to do there, man.
Is there a difference between going to a how can I put this? To a Muslim institution for assistance in this, and going to a non-Muslim institution for this? Is there a difference besides the fact that they're going to tell you go on Jamaat or go to the Mazar? Is there any difference in the method of how it's done? Or is there more help or more information with one or the other?
What do you mean with regards to the drug issue?
No. So you have an issue, drug issue, whatever.
Yeah.
You need a support system. You need some sort of advice or help. And going to a Muslim institution for something like this, is there anything like that, rather than going to a non-Muslim institution? Like, is there a difference between the two?
I don't really think so, because I think the message is the same, to be honest. And I feel like sometimes, you get more answers. Like, for example, let's take a look at rehab. right? You do get some Islamic institutes when it comes to rehab and stuff. But if I may be honest with you, I feel like going to a non-Islamic institute, we got more help because we were actually told exactly what the problem is.
Right.
We were given access to psychologists and, for firsthand, we were told what the issues are. Whereas when it comes to an institute like an Islamic institute, where there's no, they won't sit down with you and tell you exactly what the problem is. It's all about, yes, you need to perform your salah and all of those things, which is a given. You're supposed to anyway. But honestly, I feel like the message is the same. I don't see any difference of whether it's Islamic or non-Islamic or whatever the case may be.
So my final question is with regards to your children right now. What is the relationship and where is your ex-husband? I'd like to know that. And how is the relationship now with your children, with him and your children and yourself?
Don't give the location.
Okay, so he's actually not in Durban at the moment. He lives
Leave it
in
at that.
another city.
Yeah.
Right.
And he sees them very rarely. I think they do have a relationship with him. He speaks to them.
Anyone that's
over the
above 18
phone.
right now? Your children?
Yes.
Okay.
My eldest is 21.
Okay.
And my daughter just turned 18.
Okay.
And the little one's 15. So my daughter actually is going to be studying next year. And she is going to be studying in the same city that my ex-husband is in. And it's actually something she came to me and she asked me if it's okay. And I told her at the end of the day, it's your decision.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop you from...
Is she going to be stayed with him?
Yep.
But is he remarried and settled again, or is he still back?
No, he is in the he is getting married.
Okay. But he stopped his drugs?
Yes,
Apparently.
apparently.
Okay.
May Allah keep him that way, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah. I mean, he's still the father of your children. So.
Do you miss him?
No.
You're so blunt. And our answer was very fast.
No, I don't.
That's good. It's all over.
Yes.
If you could go back into time and redo everything, would you?
Yes.
Exactly
Really?
as
Exactly
it
how
was?
it is, really?
Wow, that's
No,
shocking.
what you mean? Redo or
Yeah,
change?
redo
No,
it.
redo
Change.
everything.
Oh, no.
No, okay. That makes sense.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, no,
I was like, redo all.
as in go back and marry him and
Do the same process.
Oh,
the same
no, hell
process.
no.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
That's good, yeah.
That's good.
So there's sometimes a little bit of a rainbow at the end. Silver lining, as they say. Not a rainbow, but a silver lining.
There is definitely a silver lining.
But yeah, so and then I think that's where you put your trust in Allah, and in the end you say, Allah, I've tied my camel. I've done everything I can. I've been there for him. I've shown true commitment to this. I've helped my children out of it. So right now, that's it. I'm out.
Yes.
And I think that's okay. It's okay for you to do that. It's okay to feel that way, and it's okay to get out of that situation. And I ask Allah to guide anyone that is going through this to take them out of that situation, and for the families, for them peace and ease, inshallah.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your story with us. It's taken, I'm sure it's taken you a lot of courage and, as we would say, balls.
Steel.
Balls of steel to do what you've done. And I'm sure your story will resonate with a lot of people. And a lot of people hopefully will start coming out and talking about this because the more they talk about it, the better.
No more hiding it under the carpet.
Yeah.
Let's expose, get the answers, and let people get out of the situation, inshallah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any last parting words
Thank you.
before we say goodbye?
No, just Jazakallah so much for having me on this podcast. I mean, it was something that I have kept silent as well for so many years, and it felt good speaking about it because I just want women to know that they are not alone, that there is help. As you said, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it's okay and it's normal to feel all those things. But at the end of the day, there is always hope. So thank you. Jazakallah.
Thank you. And thanks for joining us on the Mindscaped podcast for another episode. We will see you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is so much more to discuss. And we thank you once again, our guests, for coming in. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Fuel your curiosity. Subscribe to Mindscape Podcasts.